All right, Shalom. First and foremost, just as always, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, which is the Paleo-Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, the Holy Tongue, for the one true name of the Heavenly Father being Yahweh, and that of the Messiah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, being Yahweh Shai. Those are the only names in which salvation may be obtained, whether you are able to receive that or not. I'd like to give double honors unto the elders and the apostles at GMS Great Millstone, of taught me this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and a sincere peace, love, blessing, salutations unto all of those of you who have been called, who are doing the best to make that calling of your election sure, making up the elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, man. That fraction, that seed that's coming into the mind frame of the Heavenly Father and learning how to judge things, man. Learning how to judge between good and evil, not according to your opinion, not according to your emotions, not according to your heart, as the scriptures tell us that your heart is wicked and who can know it, right? The scriptures also say, man, hey, the Heavenly Father's ways are not our ways. So your emotions and your opinions are going to be askewed, right? As we're nothing but a simple creation, man. And as you see, I got pulled up 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, and we'll start at the first verse. It says, dare any of you having a matter against another, right? So, if there's contentions or whatever the case may be between two or whatever or more who have been called, who have received this knowledge, who are learning how to judge properly according to the mind frame of the Heavenly Father, right? He says, go to the law before the unjust and not before the saints, right? If you have some sort of issue, would you go before the law of the unjust? And who's the unjust that it's speaking of? And who was their law, man? It's talking about the law of the Roman government who was in power at that time. All right, the same beast system prophesied to be wounded and come back into power as you see it in all of its glory today, man. So would you go before the judges of this government to settle a issue, right? Going on verse 2, it says, do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world, right? Because as he ended the last verse, he said, and not before the saints, right? You have these saints, these judges here, man. Because that's what we are. As I mentioned before, man, learning how to judge between both good and evil, right? It says what? That these very saints, Lord willing, we be part of that number, part of that election, right? Are going to judge the world, man. The entire planet Earth is going to be judged by them. And where can we find the prophecy of this, man? Right? Because the New Testament is, simply a sequel of the Old Testament, man. All these prophets prophesying about the things that would take place and that would continue to be prophesied about during the New Testament. That's why they're constantly quoting it, man. So let's go ahead and jump to a prophecy regarding this, man. This is the book of Micah, chapter 5 and verse 1, and it reads, not Micah chapter 5, Micah chapter 6 and verse 1. Slakia, just bear with me for one second. Khan, chapter 4. Forgive me for that, man. Micah chapter 4 and verse 1. It says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Now, the mountain it's speaking of, right, isn't a specific mountain. It's not an actual mountain, right? It's talking about a government, man. All right, this government of who? Of the Heavenly Father, man. That's what he's establishing on this earth. That's what the new covenant is all about, and that's why the new covenant is going to be written within the body of the elect, man. Meaning that you're going to be perfect judges. You're not going to be impartial judges. You're going to judge perfectly according to the law that's written within you, man. That's written within your DNA. You see? Going on, it says, so why are they going to be flowing to this mountain, the whole world, going to this government of Israel, right? Verse 2, it says, and many nations shall come and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the power of Jacob, You see, the power, the God of Jacob, the God of the Israelites, man, where these heathens will learn the ways of the Heavenly Father, the God of Israel, who's really the God of all, man, the creator of all energy. He simply chose Israel to allow that to be his dwelling place for this wisdom. And the wisdom I speak of is the knowledge of life, man. The knowledge that was given to us since day one, pursuant to Deuteronomy 4 and 6 being the law, man, that separated us from all nations. And so where are these nations going to learn that? Well, the Heavenly Father created a vessel to teach it to the world, man. All right? And as we just read, what does it say? So all those nations are going to be coming to Israel, right? To our government, to our nation, to our kingdom. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth out of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So all these people crying out for world peace. Well, the reason why there's no world peace is because those who have control of the world, right? The unjust, who have their law set up and who have established that law in the world, right? They're the unjust, as I just mentioned. That's why you see all this chaos, all this bloodshed, all this filth being spread throughout our children and throughout the people, man. Giving them things to kill themselves, right? To destroy themselves. And all these wars that these elites of this world don't fight in, but our children do. Our children don't get weapons contracts and make gain off of these wars, man. But guess what? The Heavenly Father is going to establish his wisdom throughout the world by what? Causing the new covenant to be written within the loins of the elect, man. This is the book of, Sirach. And I believe it's the 23rd chapter, which I just put 29. 23rd. And, no, it's not the 23rd chapter. The 24th chapter. Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 24. And I'll read the first verse. It says, wisdom shall praise herself and shall glory in the midst of her people, right? So it's speaking about wisdom, man. Verse 6, it says, in the waves of the sea and in all the earth, in every people and nation I got a possession. So every nation has a lick of wisdom, man. But the Heavenly Father has separated all nations for a particular reason, man. Right? Verse 7, it says, with all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide? Right? An example. Hey, Esau has the wisdom of the sword, man. Every nation has, their different blessings and curses, their purpose, if you will. And that's why in the kingdom, all nations will be in their element, man. You see, we have two forms of government set up on the earth. Perhaps more, but for the most part, we have communism, and we have the republic system set up, right? Democracy. And communism is simply, where you're born into your role, and it's chosen for you. And so they have they basically share everything, man. Everybody's an operating member in society, and that causes everybody to have enough. Whereas democracy, right, it's, the American dream. You work hard, you get paid hard. That's basically it, man. Well, you got all these people with all these problems, right? Cutthroat society trying to get one over on one another. And then everybody's depressed as hell, man. A feeling of emptiness inside. And really it's because this ain't the kingdom, man. And this devil has you trying to be everything that you're not. Well, the Heavenly Father has a different type of government being set up, and that's something known as this right here. If it'll pull up. A theocracy. Theocracy. It says a system of government in which priests rule in the name of God or a God. You see how it goes down. The Commonwealth of Israel from the time of Moses until the election of Saul as king. Look at that. You could just simply look up theocracy, and it gives you a breakdown if you will, of the structure of the scriptures, man. The Commonwealth of Israel, from the time of Moses until the election of Saul as king. Right? So we had a theocracy set up in ancient times, but that wasn't set up over the whole world. So now you see, right, Joshua came and he brought us a victory, but Yahushua is bringing us that eternal glory and that eternal victory, man, in which we will be set back on top and we will be judging this earth, as we read earlier, in perfection, man. Why? Because as we're reading here, Sirach 24:8, so the creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. You see that? He created me from the beginning, and before the world shall I never fail. I, holy tabernacle, I serve before him, and I was established in Zion. Likewise, in the beloved city, he gave me rest, and in Jerusalem was my power. So there you go, man. There you go. The Heavenly Father created Israel to give them this wisdom so that they could establish a theocracy on this earth. Not a democracy, and certainly not a communism either, man. So with that being said, man, I believe the point's been made. Lord willing, this is edifying. We'll give all praises, honor, and glory once more to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles at GMS, great millstone, and a sincere peace, love, blessing, salutations unto all of those of you who have received this calling. Lord willing, you endure, that you may be crowned. This is Brother Gar. Until next time, I'm going to say shalom.